Every single day, people toss these scraps straight into the trash without even stopping to think twice about it. Potato peels, onion ends, strawberry tops, avocado pits, gone, just like that. But here is what most people do not realize. Many of those scraps you are throwing away could be growing free food right now. Some of them can give you endless harvests that keep coming back week after week. Some can grow into entire plants loaded with produce. And one of them, one scrap that almost everybody tosses without a second thought, can grow into a plant that keeps producing food for years. And here is the part that is going to surprise you the most. The scrap most people throw away the fastest is actually one of the absolute easiest things you can regrow at home. I will reveal it at number 1, so make sure you stick around to the end. We are counting down 20 kitchen scraps that grow free food, and by the time we are done, you are going to look at your kitchen waste in a completely different way. Before we dive in, if you enjoy learning how to grow free food from everyday kitchen scraps, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. This channel is all about simple, practical gardening ideas that anyone can try at home. Whether you have a big backyard, a small balcony, or just a sunny windowsill, you do not need a lot of space or experience to start growing your own food for free. All right, let us get into the countdown. Number 20, pineapple crown. We are kicking things off with one that feels almost too good to be true. The leafy green crown sitting on top of every pineapple you buy at the store is not just decoration. It is a living, breathing plant that is ready to grow. Most people twist it off and toss it straight in the bin. But that crown, if you treat it right, can grow into a full pineapple plant that actually produces fruit. Yes, real fruit, from your kitchen scrap. Here is how to do it. When you are cutting your pineapple, grab the crown firmly with one hand and the fruit with the other and give it a firm twist. It should come off cleanly. Then peel away a few of the lower leaves at the base of the crown so you can see about an inch of bare stem. Let it sit out and dry for a full day. This is important because it prevents the cut end from rotting when it hits the soil. Once it has dried, plant it in a pot with well-draining sandy soil. We'll push the stem down about an inch and firm the soil around it so it stands upright. Place it somewhere that gets a lot of bright, direct sunlight. A sunny patio, a south-facing window, or a warm balcony all work well. Pineapples are tropical plants, so they love warmth and full sun. They do best in USDA zones 11 and 12 outdoors, but they make outstanding container plants that you can grow in any climate as long as you keep them inside during cold months. Water sparingly, letting the soil dry out a little between waterings. Now, patience is key with this one. It takes about 2 to 3 years for a container pineapple to produce fruit. But when that small fruit starts forming from the center of the plant, it is one of the most exciting moments in all of home gardening. And here is a pro tip passed down through generations of gardeners. Place a few ripe apple slices around the base of the plant. The natural ethylene gas released by the apples acts as a natural trigger that encourages the pineapple to flower and fruit faster. Give it a try. One pineapple crown you are about to throw away can give you years of beauty, interest, and eventually a homegrown pineapple that is all yours. Number 19, garlic cloves. If you have ever reached into the pantry and found a head of garlic starting to sprout, do not throw it away. Those little green shoots are not a sign that the garlic has gone bad. They are a sign that it is already trying to grow a brand new plant for you. Garlic is one of the most rewarding kitchen scraps to regrow because the math is just incredible. Every single clove you plant grows into a full bulb containing 8 to 12 new cloves. So one head of garlic from the store can supply you with garlic for years if you keep replanting what you harvest. To get started, why separate the bulb into individual cloves. Plant each one about 2 inches deep in loose, well-draining soil with the pointed end facing up. Space them about 6 inches apart. Garlic loves full sun and rich soil with good drainage. The best time to plant garlic is in the fall, about 4 to 6 weeks before your first hard frost. This gives the cloves time to establish roots before winter sets in, and then they take off vigorously in spring. Now, most varieties are ready to harvest by early to midsummer when the lower leaves start turning yellow and dry. Garlic grows well in USDA zones 3 through 8. Hardneck varieties, which you often find at farmers markets, produce scapes, those curly green shoots that are delicious chopped into stir-fries and pesto. Softneck varieties are more common at the grocery store and are great for longer storage. Either way, every clove you plant multiplies into a whole new bulb. So start with one head and you may never need to buy garlic again. Number 18, basil stems. Fresh basil from the store is wonderful, but it is also expensive, and it tends to wilt fast if you do not use it immediately. The good news is that those stems are incredibly easy to regrow, and one bunch from the supermarket can give you a dozen new plants. Select a few healthy stems about 4 inches long. Strip off the leaves from the lower half of each stem, leaving just the top leaves intact. Or drop the stripped stems into a glass of clean water and set the glass on a sunny windowsill. Change the water every couple of days to keep it fresh and prevent bacteria from building up. Within about a week to 10 days, you will see white roots starting to form from the nodes on the submerged part of the stem. Once those roots are about 2 inches long, it is time to move your basil into a pot with rich, moist potting mix. Basil loves warmth, full sun, and consistent moisture. Why it grows beautifully outdoors in USDA zones 2 through 11 during warm months and thrives indoors year-round on a bright, sunny windowsill. Genovese basil is the most common variety you will find at the store, but Thai basil, purple basil, and lemon basil all root just as easily from cuttings. To keep your basil plants bushy and productive, pinch off any flower buds as soon as they appear. This redirects the plant's energy back into leaf production. Hanabwai harvest from the top of the plant rather than stripping the lower leaves, and your basil will keep growing thick and full all season long. One store-bought bunch of basil can easily give you 10 or more rooted cuttings. That is a whole windowsill herb garden from a single grocery store purchase. Number 17. Potato eyes. You have probably seen this happen by accident. A potato sits in the pantry a little too long, and suddenly it is covered in sprouts poking out from those little dimples on the surface. Those sprouts are called eyes, and they are your ticket to a free potato harvest. Instead of tossing that sprouted potato, put it to work. Cut it into chunks, making sure each chunk has at least 1 or 2 eyes with visible sprout growth. Lay the cut pieces out and let them dry for a day or two. This drying period allows the cut surface to callus over, which protects the potato from rotting once it is in the ground. Plant the pieces about 4 inches deep in loose, well-draining soil with the sprouts pointing upward. Space them around 12 inches apart. As the plants grow, mound extra soil or straw up around the stems every couple of weeks. This technique, called hilling, encourages the plant to form more tubers along the buried stem, which means a bigger harvest. Potatoes do well in USD zones 3 through 10 and prefer full sun with slightly acidic, loose soil. Most varieties are ready to harvest between 70 and 120 days after planting, depending on the type. Yukon Gold, russet, and red potatoes from the store all work for this method. One thing to keep in mind is to choose organic potatoes when possible, because conventional ones are sometimes treated with sprout inhibitors that can reduce your success rate. From a single sprouted potato you are about to throw away, you can realistically harvest 5 to 10 new potatoes. That is a pretty remarkable return on a scrap. Number 16. Lettuce base. This one is so fast and so easy that it almost feels like a magic trick. When you finish off a head of romaine or any other leafy lettuce, do not throw away that thick bottom stump. Place the stump cut side up in a shallow bowl with about ½ an inch of water sitting at the base. Set it on a bright windowsill and change the water every day or two. Within 3 to 5 days, you will see brand new leaves beginning to sprout right from the center of the stump. It genuinely looks like something out of a time-lapse video. Now, the leaves you get from water alone will be smaller and lighter in color than the original head. To get a more substantial harvest, wait until the new growth is about 2 to 3 inches tall. Then transplant the whole stump into a pot or garden bed with rich, moist soil. With proper soil and good light, you will get a much fuller flush of leaves that you can harvest again and again. Lettuce does best in cooler weather and grows well in USDA zones 4 through 9. Spring and fall are ideal growing seasons. Butterhead, red leaf, green leaf. Nearly every variety of lettuce regrows from the base using this method. So no matter what type you buy, save that stump and give it a second life. Turn number 15, ginger root. If you cook with fresh ginger regularly, this one is going to save you a lot of money. That knobby root you pick up at the grocery store is actually a rhizome, and it is completely ready to grow into a new plant. Look for a piece of ginger that has small bumps or nubs on it. Those are growth buds, sometimes called eyes. Cut the rhizome into sections, making sure each piece has at least one or two buds. Let the cut surfaces dry naturally overnight so they do not rot when they touch the soil. Plant the pieces about an inch deep in a wide, shallow pot filled with rich, well-draining potting mix. Make sure the buds are pointing upward. Ginger is a tropical plant that loves warmth and humidity. It thrives outdoors in USDA zones 9 through 12. But it is also a fantastic container plant that grows happily indoors in any climate as long as temperatures stay above 60 degrees Fahrenheit. And keep the soil consistently moist but never waterlogged, and give it bright, indirect light rather than harsh direct sun. Ginger grows slowly and steadily. You can start harvesting small pieces by gently digging around the edges of the pot after about 4 months. A full harvest takes 8 to 10 months. But here's the thing. One store-bought rhizome can produce several pounds of fresh ginger over a single growing season. And if you save a piece to replant, the cycle keeps going indefinitely. A fresh, homegrown ginger has a flavor and potency that is completely different from anything dried or jarred. Number 14, green onion roots. If there is one scrap on this entire list that you absolutely must try first, it is this one. Green onions are the easiest, fastest kitchen scrap to regrow, and the results are almost instant. When you use green onions in the kitchen, save the white root ends, about 1 to 2 inches worth. Drop them into a small glass of water on a sunny windowsill. That is genuinely all there is to it. Change the water every couple of days, and within 2 to 3 days, you will already see fresh green growth shooting up from the tops. By the end of the first week, you will have scallions long enough to snip and add to meals. You can keep harvesting from the same roots for weeks. Just trim what you need from the top and let them keep growing. For even better, more flavorful results, transplant those rooted ends into a small pot with well-draining potting mix. In soil, green onions grow thicker and last much longer. They do well indoors or outdoors, handle partial shade without a problem, and thrive across USDA zones 3 through 9. This is literally free food on autopilot, and it starts working within days of your first try. Number 13, carrot tops. You cannot regrow a full carrot from the top alone, but that does not mean carrot tops are useless. Not by a long shot. You cut about an inch off the thick top end of a carrot where the greens were originally attached. Place it cut side down in a shallow dish with a small amount of water. Set it near a window with good light, and within a few days you will see feathery green leaves sprouting from the top. Those greens are completely edible. They have a mild, slightly herby, parsley-like flavor and work wonderfully in salads, homemade pesto, chimichurri, and as a fresh garnish. Anati, if you transplant the carrot top into a pot with soil, the greens will grow even more vigorously. Here is where it gets really interesting. If you let the carrot top grow through its full life cycle, it will eventually bolt and produce a beautiful umbrella-shaped flower head. That flower head is packed with viable carrot seeds that you can harvest, dry, and sow the following season to grow full-size carrots in your garden. Carrots do well in USDA zones 3 through 10 in loose, sandy soil with full sun. So while the carrot top itself will not produce a new root vegetable, it gives you nutritious edible greens right now and seeds for future harvests. That is genuine double value from a scrap most people toss without thinking. Number 12, lemon seeds. Growing a lemon tree from a seed you found inside your morning lemon might sound ambitious, but it is completely doable. And the process is simpler than you might expect. Next time you cut open a lemon, so you collect a few of the seeds. Rinse them clean and plant them about half an inch deep in a small pot with moist, well-draining potting mix while they are still fresh. Fresh seeds germinate more reliably than dried ones, so do not let them sit out for too long before planting. Keep the pot somewhere warm with bright, indirect light and maintain consistent moisture. Germination usually takes 2 to 3 weeks. Once seedlings are a few inches tall and have a couple sets of leaves, you can transplant into a larger container. Lemon trees love full sun and warmth. They grow outdoors in USDA zones 9 through 11, but do beautifully in containers in any climate. A Meyer lemon in a bright, sunny room makes a stunning and productive indoor tree. Be patient. Seed-grown citrus takes several years to fruit, but in the meantime, you have a gorgeous, fragrant plant that fills your home with the scent of citrus every time you brush against its leaves. Number 11, celery base. Celery is one of those vegetables where most of the price you pay at the grocery store goes to the thick bottom base that people tend to cut off and discard. But that base is exactly what you need to grow brand new celery stalks. Cut the stalks about 2 inches up from the base and place the base cut side up in a shallow bowl with warm water, reaching about halfway up the sides. Set it in a sunny spot and refresh the water every couple of days. Within about a week, you will see tiny yellow-green leaves emerging from the center. After 2 weeks, there will be several inches of new growth with small roots forming at the bottom. That is your signal to transplant into rich, moisture-retentive soil. Celery is a heavy feeder and needs consistent moisture. So keep the soil damp and fertilize every couple of weeks with a balanced fertilizer. It does best in USDA zones 2 through 10 and prefers cool temperatures around 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The flavor of homegrown celery is dramatically better than anything from the store. More intense, more aromatic, and more satisfying in every way. And it all started from the part you were about to throw in the bin. Quick question for you. Which of these scraps do you throw away the most? Drop it in the comments below. I am genuinely curious. And keep watching, because the next ones on our countdown are where things really get exciting. We are getting into scraps that can grow full fruit-producing plants right at home. Number 10. Tomato seeds. Here is one that is going to change the way you look at every tomato you slice open from now on. Those tiny seeds clinging to the inside of a ripe tomato are completely viable, and regrowing tomatoes from grocery store seeds is one of the most satisfying projects in kitchen scrap gardening. Scoop a few seeds out of a ripe tomato, rinse them gently to remove the gel coating. Row and either let them dry on a paper towel for a day or plant them fresh. To plant, lay them about a 1/4 inch deep in moist potting mix. Keep the pot warm, ideally between 70 and 80 degrees Fahrenheit, and in good light. Within 7 to 14 days, clusters of tiny seedlings will emerge. Once they are a couple of inches tall and have their first set of true leaves, thin them out and transplant the strongest seedlings into their own pots. When nighttime temperatures consistently stay above 50 degrees Fahrenheit and all frost danger has passed, move them into the garden or a large outdoor container. Tomatoes need full sun, at least 6 to 8 hours a day, and do well in USDA zones 3 through 11. Give them a sturdy cage or stake, water deeply and consistently, and feed with a tomato-specific fertilizer every couple of weeks. Roma, beefsteak, cherry, and heirloom varieties all work beautifully for this method. There is absolutely nothing like a homegrown tomato that started its entire life as a slice headed for the compost bin. Number 9, sweet potato. Sweet potatoes regrow in a way that is completely different from regular potatoes, and honestly, the process is one of the most fun and fascinating things you can do with a kitchen scrap. Instead of planting the tuber directly, you grow what are called slips, leafy vine cuttings that sprout from the surface of the sweet potato and then root to become new plants. To get slips started, push 3 toothpicks into the sides of a sweet potato to suspend it over a jar of water with the bottom half submerged. Place the jar somewhere warm and bright. Within a couple of weeks, you will see roots growing from the bottom and leafy vine slips emerging from the top. Once the slips are about 6 inches long, you twist them off gently and place them in their own jar of water to develop their own root systems. When those roots are a couple of inches long, the slips are ready to plant in soil. Sweet potatoes are warm weather crops that thrive in USDA zones 8 through 11. Gardeners in cooler zones can still succeed by starting slips early indoors and using black plastic mulch to warm the soil. Plant slips 12 to 18 inches apart in loose, sandy soil with full sun. They need 90 to 170 days to mature into harvestable tubers. One sweet potato from the store can produce a dozen or more slips, which translates into an enormous harvest from a single scrap. Number 8. Avocado pit. The avocado pit is probably the most famous kitchen scrap regrowing project out there, and it earns that reputation. That large, smooth seed sitting in the center of your avocado can grow into a beautiful tree. After you scoop out your avocado, must clean the pit and dry it off. Push 3 or 4 toothpicks into the sides of the pit at a slight downward angle so you can suspend it over a glass of water with the flat bottom end submerged about an inch. Place it somewhere warm with indirect light and change the water every few days to keep it fresh. Within 2 to 6 weeks, the pit will begin to crack open from the bottom. A taproot will grow down into the water, and then a stem will push up from the top, eventually unfurling its first leaves. Once the stem reaches about 6 inches tall with a few healthy leaves, it is ready to transition into a pot with rich, well-draining soil. Avocados thrive outdoors in USDA zones 9 through 11, but they grow wonderfully as indoor trees in any climate, given a bright, sunny spot. Water deeply, but let the soil dry out between waterings and pinch the stem at around 12 inches to encourage the plant to branch out and grow fuller, rather than just tall. Seed-grown avocados can take anywhere from 5 to 13 years to fruit, but as a stunning, lush houseplant that started from a pit you saved instead of tossing, it is absolutely worth the journey. Number 7. Onion bottom. Every time you prep an onion in the kitchen, you cut off that bottom root end and toss it. But that small root fringe base is everything you need to grow a new onion. Plant the root base directly in soil with the root side facing down and the cut top pointing upward. So cover it with about an inch of soil and water it in gently. Place it somewhere with good sunlight. New green shoots will begin emerging from the top within a few days. Onions prefer loose, rich, well-draining soil and full sun. They grow across a wide range of climates, doing well in USDA zones 3 through 9. Green tops will appear quickly and can be harvested as a fresh herb, even while the bulb is still developing underground. If you leave the plant long enough, it will swell into a new bulb ready for harvest. You can also use those dried, papery onion skins that usually go straight in the bin. Soak them in hot water overnight to create a nutritious tea packed with potassium. Once cooled, pour that liquid around your garden plants to strengthen roots, deepen leaf color, and encourage more vigorous growth. Nothing from the onion needs to go to waste. Number 6. Leek base. Leeks are one of those vegetables where people automatically throw away the most useful part. The root base, that white root fringe bottom end, is exactly what you need to regrow fresh leek stalks. Save the bottom 2 to 3 inches of the leek, roots included. Stand it root side down in a jar with about an inch of water and place it on a sunny windowsill. New green growth will start pushing up from the center within just a few days. And watching it happen is genuinely satisfying. You can keep snipping those fresh green tops directly from the water jar, or for a more robust plant with thicker stalks, transplant into soil once you have a couple of inches of new growth. Leeks prefer rich, well-draining soil with plenty of organic matter and do well in full sun across USDA zones 3 through 9. They are slow growers that take about 90 to 120 days to reach full size from transplant, but you can harvest green tops long before then. Leeks are also surprisingly cold hardy and can overwinter in many climates with a thick layer of mulch over the bed. One store-bought leek gives you the beginning of a plant that can keep producing for months. Number 5. Apple seeds. This one requires the most patience of anything on this list, but the reward is extraordinary. Every apple you eat contains seeds, and every one of those seeds has the potential to grow into an apple tree. After eating your apple, collect the seeds and let them dry on a paper towel for a few days. Apple seeds need a period of cold stratification before they will germinate, mimicking the natural winter conditions they would experience outdoors. To do this, wrap the dried seeds in a damp paper towel, seal them in a small plastic bag, and refrigerate them for 4 to 6 weeks. After that cold period, plant the seeds about half an inch deep in a small pot with moist and well-draining soil and keep them in a warm, bright spot. Germination typically takes a few weeks. Once seedlings are well established, they can eventually be transplanted into a larger outdoor space. Apple trees do best in cooler climates across USDA zones 3 through 8 and need full sun and well-draining soil. Keep in mind that seed-grown apples may not produce fruit identical to the parent fruit. They are genetically unique. But that is part of what makes it exciting. No, you are growing something entirely new. In a few years from now, you could be harvesting apples from a tree that started as a seed from your afternoon snack. Number 4. Mushroom stems. This one surprises almost everyone. When you cook with fresh mushrooms, you typically cut off the woody stem ends and throw them away. But mushroom stems can actually be used to encourage new mushroom growth at home. Place the stem ends in moist compost or a container filled with a mixture of moist compost and a substrate like straw or wood chips. Keep the area consistently humid and in a shaded spot away from direct sunlight. Mushrooms do not need light to grow the way plants do. They need moisture, darkness, and the right temperature. Oyster mushrooms and shiitake mushrooms are the easiest varieties to regrow this way. Oyster mushrooms in particular are very forgiving and fast-growing. She'd keep the substrate moist by misting regularly and maintain temperatures between 60 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It is also worth noting that, as Grandma knew well, damp cardboard can serve as an ideal mushroom growing medium. Layer mushroom stem ends between sheets of moistened cardboard in a dark corner and check on them regularly. With the right conditions, you can produce fresh mushrooms from scraps that would otherwise have gone directly into the trash. Number 3. Bell pepper seeds. Every time you cut open a bell pepper, there is a cluster of seeds attached to the white membrane inside just waiting to be planted. This works for all kinds of peppers. Bell peppers, jalapenos, serranos, and any other variety you happen to be cooking with. Scrape those seeds out and spread them on a paper towel to dry for a day or two. Then plant them about a 1/4 inch deep in moist seed starting mix. Pepper seeds need warmth to germinate, ideally between 75 and 85 degrees Fahrenheit. So a heat mat is helpful if you have one. Keep the soil consistently moist and in good light. Germination typically takes 1 to 3 weeks. Once seedlings have 2 full sets of true leaves, they are ready to transplant into larger pots. Peppers love full sun, warm temperatures, and rich, well-draining soil with plenty of organic matter. And they grow well in USDA zones 4 through 11, and most varieties produce harvestable fruit in 60 to 90 days from transplant. One of the best things about regrowing peppers from scraps is the variety you accumulate naturally. Every time you cook with a new type of pepper, save the seeds and try growing them. Before long, you have an entire collection of pepper plants from different culinary adventures, all for free. Number 2. Cabbage core. When you finish a head of cabbage, most people discard the thick central core. But that core, treated the same way as lettuce or celery, can regrow new leafy growth that gives you a second harvest from a single purchase. Place the cabbage core upright in a shallow dish with just enough water to cover the bottom. Set it on a sunny windowsill and change the water every couple of days. Within about a week, fresh pale leaves will begin emerging from the center of the core. Once you have a few inches of new growth and small roots forming at the base, transplant the whole thing into a pot or garden bed with rich, moist soil. Cabbage is a cool season crop that does well in USDA zones 1 through 9 and prefers temperatures between 45 and 75 degrees Fahrenheit. It grows best in spring and fall and can even handle light frost. Give it full sun, consistent moisture, and plenty of organic matter in the soil. The regrown leaves from the core will be tender and mild, excellent for stir-fries, soups, and slaws. It is an easy, low-effort project that gives you real, usable produce from something that most people never think twice about discarding. Number 1. Strawberry tops. And here we are at number 1, the scrap most people throw away the fastest, the one that almost nobody thinks could possibly grow into something useful. Strawberry tops. Every time you hull a strawberry, you slice off the leafy top along with a thin layer of the outer skin where dozens of tiny seeds are embedded. Most people discard that part immediately, but those seeds on the surface of the strawberry skin are genuine, viable seeds that can grow into brand new strawberry plants. Plants that will eventually produce real, sweet, beautiful berries. Here is how to do it. Instead of tossing those strawberry skin strips, press them gently onto a tray of moist seed-starting mix. Lay them flat so the seeded surface is in contact with the soil. Keep the tray in a bright location and maintain consistent moisture in the mix. Within 2 to 3 weeks, you will start to see tiny seedlings pushing up from the skin strips. They are incredibly small at first, but they are unmistakably alive and growing. Once the seedlings have a couple of sets of true leaves, carefully transplant them into small individual pots or directly into a garden bed. Because strawberries are incredibly versatile and grow well in USDA zones 3 through 10. Ever-bearing varieties will produce fruit from late spring all the way through fall. Give them full sun, rich, well-draining soil, and consistent moisture. And here is what makes strawberries truly special as a regrowing project. Healthy strawberry plants send out runners, long horizontal stems that form new plants wherever they touch the ground. So your handful of seedlings grown from strawberry top scraps can multiply into a whole strawberry patch over 1 or 2 seasons. One successful regrow becomes dozens of plants, all producing berries, all completely free. Strawberry tops are the scrap most people never think twice about, and they are also one of the most rewarding things you will ever decide to save. Now think about this for a moment. You have 20 kitchen scraps right there, things you likely throw away every single week. And every one of them has the potential to grow free food for you and your family. Pineapple crowns, garlic cloves, basil stems, potato eyes, lettuce bases, ginger roots, green onion ends, carrot tops, lemon seeds, celery bases, tomato seeds, sweet potato slips, avocado pits, onion bottoms, leek bases, apple seeds, mushroom stems, pepper seeds, cabbage cores, and strawberry tops. All of it would have gone straight in the trash. All of it can go into the ground instead. Imagine how much food you could be growing if you just made that one simple shift. If this video gave you something useful, hit that like button and subscribe for more practical gardening ideas that help you grow food at home. No matter how much space or experience you have, and share this video with someone in your life who loves gardening or who is just getting started. You might just inspire them to look at their kitchen scraps in a whole new way. Now get out there and start growing something amazing.